What's going on, everybody? This is the Sports Counterpoints podcast. Today is January the 14th, 2025. As always, I'm GB. I got Coop and Brian with me. What's up, my guys?
Hey, all right.
Man, we back at
Here
it.
in person this time.
Talking sports. Yeah, we're
Yeah. Brian was fading in and out. You know what I'm saying? We were
Yeah.
doing a video. Yeah.
all the
Turned
fires
out,
and wind.
turned out there was a fire right down the street. We got evacuated in less than 30 minutes after we finished recording.
Oh, damn.
Man, thinking still thoughts and prayers with everybody down there.
Yep.
Donate if you can. Do all the things to help all the people down there because it's still quite vicious with the fires. So that's where that's at. But yeah, we're talking pretty much football today as usual. You got college football with with O State playing Notre Dame, and then we'll talk about the NFL. We'll talk about last week's games. We'll talk about what's coming up this week, as well as Coop had a good point of talking about some of the coaching vacancies and initial thoughts on which jobs are the most appealing. So let's get to it, man. Talk about the college game, Notre Dame and Ohio State.
Go ahead, B. You can start it off with this one.
Well, I am rooting for Notre Dame, not because I've ever liked Notre Dame before. I've been a USC fan, so that's kind of the antithesis. But I've got close family friends who are extraordinarily happy to see Notre Dame, their beloved Notre Dame, and they're a little later in their years. And so, this might be, one of those few opportunities to see Notre Dame win. So I'm going to root for them. That's not what I'm going to pick, though, because the reality of it is that all season long, I've said 3 teams, right? Oregon, Ohio State, and Texas were the 3 best teams in college football. And one of those teams is here in the national championship. And as it just so happens, they beat the other teams that I thought were the best. And so, it's a reality check, but it's a reality that I think Ohio State is a very good team that's hit its stride, that's playing in a situation that's conducive for them to win. They're favored by 8. I would like to think this is going to be a close game, but I still think Ohio State probably covers this. And I just think that it's not a matter of styles make fights in this one, but when you're in college football or even pro football, you want to try and catch that slot when you're going into the playoffs, and that's exactly what Ohio State's been able to do. They've played outstanding football week in, week out, going in throughout the playoffs. They avenged their one loss in great fashion against Oregon, and so or one of their 2 losses.
Yep.
I just think Ohio State's in a position of command to win the national championship.
Yeah, since we've been doing this podcast, I predicted every college football champion. It's been pretty easy because they've been mostly blowouts. But I'm with you on Ohio State, but I'm also with you that I hate both programs, actually, Notre Dame and Ohio State, but that's natural because I'm a Miami Hurricane fan. We got cheated out of a national championship, but against Ohio State when they called a pass interference call when the game was over. That clearly wasn't pass interference on the replays. And Notre Dame, I just hate them because, the Catholics versus Convicts game back in a long time ago. But anyway, but the thing about Notre Dame, Brian Glenn, Marcus Freeman has made that team likable. I really like Marcus Freeman, man. I know I gave him a shout out on one of our earlier podcasts. I gave him a game ball. He definitely deserves an extension. It's hard to win at Notre Dame. That's why they only go to the national championship game every 10 years. They only have a certain pool of players that they can actually pick from, and they have to just put it all together that year, along with a decent workable schedule to make it to a national championship game. And they did it this year. But I also think that they're going to come up short because Ohio State really doesn't have that many. I would say they don't have too many standards to actually get into that university. So their pool of players is quite large. And so they have very, very good players on their team. Not saying they're all dumb. I'm just saying they have very good players, and they don't really have, admission standards like Notre Dame does. So Ohio State should win this game very comfortably. I don't understand why the spread is going down from 10.5 to 8. I think a lot of people just kind of like the Notre Dame story, and they have a lot of fans. Notre Dame has fans nationally. Yeah. But I think that Ohio State should win this game by at least 2 touchdowns at minimum. Ohio State is just so much better all across the board. And if it ends up being a 30-point win for Ohio State, I would not be surprised because they have the horses to do it.
So one of the things that's interesting, you were mentioning about the quality of the athletes. Notre Dame, if they continue to be able to do things like this, are going to be poised to be the best college football team and have the best players with the most NIL money. because by making the national championship game, each conference gets $20 million to divide amongst the team. So the Big Ten gets $20 million to divide amongst the team. Notre Dame's an independent. Guess who gets all the money?
Notre Dame.
Wow.
Notre Dame.
Yep.
And so all of that money gets to go into their NIL pool from what I read. And that ultimately means that, they can pretty much outbid people. Now, they haven't had this before. This is their first time in, so on and so forth. But it's something to think about. It's something for us to keep a look at and see if that's actually how that plays out. But $20 million going into your NIL pool versus, I think it's like, it starts off as like 12 or 13 and it goes up to 17 and then it goes to 20 for as you progress. Getting into the college football playoffs is a lot of money for Notre Dame. At some point, I think college football is going to force them to at least affiliate with one of the conferences, and I believe it will end up being my guess is it'll be the ACC.
Well, they have that partial agreement with the ACC right now. They don't want to be full-fledged members, and I'm with them. I wouldn't want to be a full-fledged member either because they still got that deal with NBC. Yeah, they got that deal with NBC. They can get all that NIL money. I wouldn't join the conference, and they have no interest right now of joining a conference. So, but I think at some point, though, if this continues to happen, I'm not saying it will, they'll be forced to join, but it's something to look at, like you said.
They should never do it until forced, but when forced, I think it'll be the ACC.
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting. Give me your take on the games leading up to this: Ohio State and Texas, and Notre Dame, Penn State.
Oh, we didn't talk about this last week?
We talked about it a little.
We talked about last week,
but that's okay.
The games were Thursday and Friday. We did the show Tuesday.
There you go.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we can start with Texas and Ohio State. So we did talk about this, I believe, but I said I don't trust Steve Sarkisian in big games. I just don't. I'm not saying whatever. He just has a habit of just not performing well on the offensive end in these games. I think they only scored 14 points. Ohio State, they got a gift at the end, and then they ended up winning this game. But I was on Ohio State from the very beginning. Even though Texas is a real talented team, Sarkisian has never been able just to put it together. Even though Texas is, they got studs, all over the field that a bunch of colleges would want, and their NIL pool of money is large, which is why they can get these players. But I didn't expect them to win, and they didn't, and that's just how the game went.
Yeah, Ohio State beats Texas 28-14.
Yeah, I see it a little bit differently, but ultimately the same results. Ohio State showed that they were the better team, but the real problem here was that Quinn Ewers, especially in the first half, played like garbage. He was just straight awful, and he dug such a hole that it was going to be very difficult for Texas to get back in it. They tried. They, for a moment, had an opportunity to, but ultimately, Ohio State is not a team that's going to let teams back into games, and that's what happens. And when you dig a hole with your quarterback, it's a problem. There's a lot of memes going on around, Quinn Ewers, who's obviously being talked about as a transfer candidate to a couple of different places. I think it's going to be very, very difficult for him to go back after that performance, and that's unfortunate. He's a kid. He deserves every opportunity to make mistakes and be able to live to see another day. But when you have Manning sitting there in the balance, it's going to be real hard to go back.
Right, and not just that. When there's money involved, it's like NIL. It's lots of millions involved. Arch Manning is getting paid.
Yeah.
So when it's money involved, that's how it is. Yeah.
Manning did what he was supposed to do, which is he's supposed to wait 2 years.
Yep.
He played when he was played. He didn't complain in the public about being put back down in the bench. Yep. He's done everything he can. It's obvious that Manning will be the coach. Manning will be the quarterback there next year.
It's his time.
And Ewers, especially after this performance, is going to have to find a new home.
Yep.
And then Penn State, Notre Dame. Notre Dame wins 27-24.
You want to start that one on, Brian? That was a thriller.
Yeah, I can. This game. Well, one. I think we need to acknowledge this is like one of the first college football playoff games that had 2 black coaches, correct?
Yes.
That in itself is a sad accomplishment. It's sad that it's taken this long and to get to that point. Yep. But also an
championship game or game in it's got to be just championship game. It can't be.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't championship.
Playoff game.
Playoff game. Or championship bowl game, right? So like no college football champions have had it, or any bowl playoff game. But anyways, look, the Notre Dame played tough, which it was exactly what they needed to do. Penn State didn't go away. This was as good a football game to watch from a battle perspective. At no point in time did you have any idea who was going to win. As Jason always says, the one thing you never want to do is trust a kicker in a college football game. And yet, that almost pretty much became a little bit of the story of the game, was obviously the kick to win it, but also, not having the opportunity for Penn State to answer. Anyways, great football game, a lot of fun to watch. Notre Dame showed that they were the better, tougher team by pulling it out in the end and kicking a field goal to do it. I would have watched this game again this week if possible.
Yeah, that was a really good game. And I'm with you. Even though we picked Notre Dame, you had no idea who was going to win this game. I was just surprised, though, Brian, knowing James Franklin's history. I've watched James Franklin for years, since he was at Vanderbilt and now Penn State. He's never won that big game. And I was really surprised how late in that fourth quarter, I thought he was going to run the ball out and then just take it to overtime and take his chances there.
Yeah.
He ran the ball to first down, got 10 yards. I'm thinking, okay, I'm about to go to overtime. Then he drops his quarterback back. He rolls to the left and throws one of them Brock Purdy passes right over the middle during the worst time of the game and gets an interception. I'm sitting there like, why would you pass the ball? There was no way. When watching that game, Brian, there was no way they're going to go about 60 yards in that little time to kick a field goal and try to win the game. It wasn't going to happen. Not the way Notre Dame was playing. That wasn't going to happen. You take that thing to overtime and take your chances. So I think Franklin, blew that as I was watching it, and he ended up getting the interception and ended up winning the game. But yeah, I just thought that was a bad move by him. Like somebody who really has a reputation of never winning these type of games. I didn't think he gave himself a chance.
I agree with you completely. I don't think he gave his team a chance. Right. So the way college football overtime works, if you are a team, you want to be able to throw haymakers. You don't want to leave it up to who can get the field goal at the end. You want to be able to go in there, start off at the 30-yard line and throw haymakers at each other until someone drops. That's what the overtime is in college football. And he took that opportunity off the board. Yeah. So I definitely agree with you, but I also think that Notre Dame showed that they were the tougher team and and figured out a way to dig that one out. So credit to them. It's not all a Penn State loss. It's also a Notre Dame victory.
Yeah, they definitely earned that.
Yeah. Well, I was shout out to my homie Jason and Sis Amber. I was at the wedding prep and rehearsal dinners and stuff. So we were watching the games on the phone though, like following what was going on. It was good stuff. And the same thing, we're actually at the wedding Saturday as we segue into the NFL and the NFL playoffs. Let's talk about that, man. Let's unless you guys have anything else college wise.
No, we good. Nope. Just go with the first game.
Man, let's go ahead and break it down, bro. So this first game, man, you know what I've been singing all day, man? It's just been in my head. San Diego Superchargers. Man, I can't stop singing. I don't know why.
Brian, I'm going to let you start with this one, man. Justin Herbert became the first quarterback in NFL history to throw more INTs in a playoff game than he had all season. What do you think about this game when you watched it?
Chargers 12, Texans 32. Go ahead.
I think he needed a diaper because he pooped himself. I mean, I don't think here's the thing. If you look at the game, he did everything you're not supposed to do at the worst possible time. And he absolutely made it possible for Glenn to do all the talking he's about.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have to let it go. But I do think that if you look at the context of the season, again, you said he had more in a playoff game than he had all season. That means he had less than 4 interceptions on a season. That is miraculous.
Yep.
He had over 100 QB rating. That is miraculous. And then the other thing, it was worked out timely because I talked about Ladd McConkey a little bit in our last week, and he showed out and showed exactly the reason why I'm as high on him as it is. But the Houston Texans I still do not believe are as good a team as they looked like in this game, but you have to give them credit for keeping the energy up, finding ways to continue to score down the stretch, even when it was obvious that Herbert and the Chargers weren't going to come back. Mixing. It's fun to see old guys do well, and it's someone who I think is a great running back before and still can be pretty good now. Watching him get over 100 yards. CJ Stroud looked like the CJ Stroud of last year when we thought he was such a great possibility. Nico Collins looked like he's arrived as probably one of the top 7 or so wide receivers. I mean, he was able to do things in that game and kind of keep it open. But, this is another one of those games where the storyline will be what happened with Herbert and how bad he was, instead of the Houston Texans showing some signs of life at the right time in the playoffs.
Defense was vicious. Yeah. They were disrespected the whole week. So
CJ Stroud, he hasn't had a good season, but he was good in this playoff game against the Chargers. The Houston Texans played the best second half that they played all season in this game. I'm still mad I missed my under bet because of that missed 2-point conversion off a missed kick.
You saw what the kicker did? He tried to knock it down. He's like thinking it's a lot.
Yeah, like, why are you knocking it down, man? Fall on it.
He didn't know the rule.
But come on now. But Glenn, if you're selling your Chargers stock, man, I'm buying all of it because this is the worst the Chargers are going to be for a while. Last year they won 5 games with a terrible defense.
I was wondering how you were going to spin that. Okay,
man. Last year they won.
Hey, you dreidel, man.
I don't know that he had any stock to sell, my friend. But it's like me with Bitcoin. I'm staying way clear of them,
man.
But last year, man, they won 5 games, and this year they went to a 5 seed. This was with no Keenan Allen and no Mike Williams. Their best receiver is Lab McConkey, a 2nd-round slot guy, and J.K. Dobbins is not a every down back.
So was Jefferson, by the way, a slot guy.
This team is only going to improve. You would think.
We're gonna see.
And I don't think nothing less of the Charge after this game. I mean,
I know
they made it to the playoffs is actually kind of remarkable, building that they were rebuilding this team and the way their offense had to play this year to win games. They had to play kind of clunky and ugly up games, but good win, definitely a good win for Houston. We'll talk about how they'll fare against Kansas City, but definitely a good win for Houston. They were definitely undervalued this game, and they definitely played with a chip on their shoulder, and they earned this victory.
Yeah, they were disrespected all week. This is a bye week for the Chargers, and they're unstoppable, and whoopty whoop. All kind of people were, bro. Anybody who's ridiculous, who's thinking that, and shout out, bro. We'll talk about Darnold and them boys too, but this is who Herbert is, bro. He's in that class. I'm telling you. We like players because we like players. He can spin the ball. That's great. I sent something to Brian about how Sam Darnold, Justin Allen was saying how well he spins the ball. In the game, we'll talk about that in a minute. Herbert, for as much as people love him, that boy was throwing as many. I think the receiver he threw the most touchdowns to, the second one was Derek Stingley.
Yeah,
who plays for the Texans. The boy was terrible, bro. It was when in playoff games when it matters. Every time so far, he has been horrid. And that's you have said, which makes sense. You got to win big games.
You got to win big games, and he lost it.
And he's already getting paid. He's already getting $50 million. He's over $50 million in pay. He's got all the things that you love to talk about, but he's terrible.
Okay, I wouldn't say he's terrible, but okay, all right.
I mean,
nobody's saying he's.
Give me the good. Give me the good. What's the best? What's the best he did?
Nobody's saying he's Mahomes.
If all you're talking about is playoffs, he's only had 2 playoff games and he's been horrible in both. That's true.
Yes, he has. He has been horrible in both.
Coop has told me that playoff games matter, right? Because other quarterbacks, if you can't win the big one, he can't even win the small one, bro.
And he's 0-2. What can you say?
Yeah.
But if he's available,
I
would take him over mine. I'm just saying.
I think y'all should trade for him. Now I find it interesting that I've never heard his name in a trade talk. Never heard nobody try and grab him.
No, all you've heard is Harbaugh gushing over him.
Before Harbaugh, before all that, he had a bad coach.
Harbaugh wants to have a daughter just to marry her off to this guy. Like, he's in love.
I think Harbaugh was a quarterback and a very smart man in that he's a tactician. He does that with his quarterbacks. He had another quarterback who some like and Coop did not, in Colin Kaepernick, but he was rocking with him too. Took Alex Smith out of there. Either way, you can't say that the boy was good in this play. And all of this is mainly because of people gushing over Herbert. Again, like I said, I'd take him too if we had him, but he's not a game changer, bro. He's a trailer, to use Coop's words. He's not a truck, my boy.
I mean, that's
fair. You've seen it too many times, man.
That's fair.
He's been on these
teams too many times, just 2 games.
Bro, he's been in the league for dumb long, bro. What has he done for you? What has
I
he
hear
done
you.
for you lately or in the past? Ask Janet. Nothing, bro.
If he's available, I would take him. That's all
I
I'm
wish
saying.
y'all would. I wish y'all would.
That's all I'm saying.
You'd have the
Only
same
thing I'll say
quarterback
is
as you
I
have
don't know
right
that
now.
5 years is dumb long. I mean, that's still
It's a good amount of time, bro. How long's Lamar been in the league? How long
dumb
is
long and good amount of time.
Tua's been in the
Different
league the same
ballparks.
amount of time? So if Tua, like all these guys, that's fair. You're already on your
Tua
second
can't even
contract. You're already
get to the
getting
playoffs.
paid.
What are you talking about?
They played last year. They did the same thing as Justin Herbert.
He played one game.
Lost, just like your boy. So
Let me
your
tell
boy
you
said got.
something.
So matter of fact, your boy's got more losses than Tua in the playoffs. Got it.
But Tua can't go. So it's like, if you can't go, why do you get credit for not going to the playoffs? You don't get credit for that.
Why get credit for going?
There is a different energy though when he talks about Tua and he talks to Herbert. I
Bro,
also
they're
believe
all-
that Herbert is a very good quarterback.
None of them are very good, B.
Who just stunk the bed up. He did what
Yeah.
he did. You
Yep.
have every right to do it. I do.
Exactly.
I
Very
do believe
good.
in Herbert as a quarterback. But I don't understand when Jason says, like
Let's,
he puts a little heavier on Tua than he does on Herbert, and
bro. I'm telling
the
you,
results have been basically the same.
Tua is not as talented as Herbert.
bro.
I
If
would
we
take
start
Herbert. I don't
listing
want Tua.
QBs, it's gonna be a while before you get to Herbert as the guy.
Oh,
you think.
hell
That's all
no,
I'm saying.
no.
But
He's not in the upper
it is.
echelon, but no.
Right, exactly.
He's
But
he's a top of tier 2 in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Top of tier
Yeah,
2.
he's
That's exactly what he
Derek,
is. Yes.
Derek Carr, got it. Commanders, Lions. Excuse me, that's next week.
Oh.
So let's go to Steelers, Ravens. Quarterback, who is often criticized for not winning the big game, wins another one. 14-28
Wins another one.
Ravens
It
when the
was
Steelers.
Pittsburgh. Okay, let me start with this one just because you
Hey,
said
it was the
that.
Texans.
Pittsburgh.
It was the Texans. This is a playoff team.
This was the dumb cliche of the game of the week. Okay, I said Baltimore should win
Different
this game
energies.
handily. I said Baltimore should win this game handily, just like they beat Cleveland. Okay,
They did.
They're playing Pittsburgh. When I heard why people were playing Pittsburgh, and I heard or read why people were taking Pittsburgh, all of it came from it's a division game. So what? It's hard to beat a team 3 times in the season. No, it's not. That's a hogwash segment in itself. It's not hard to beat a team 3 times in the season. Pittsburgh hasn't been the class of this division for over 15 years. That distinction goes to Baltimore. They're the class of the division. Pittsburgh just wants to go 8-8 or 9-8 so everybody can praise them, tell them how great they are, even though they haven't won a Super Bowl in 16 years and ain't won a playoff game in 9 years. The Steelers have the most expensive defense in football. They gave up 186 yards to Derrick Henry and two touchdowns.
That boy's tough, though.
And 81 yards.
Pretty much
to Lamar
everyone gives
Jackson.
up 186 yards.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The Steelers don't stop anybody good. They got the most
tough.
expensive defense in football, and everybody was talking about how great they are. Baltimore just beat Pittsburgh 3 times this year. 2 years ago,
They
Philadelphia beat the Giants 3 times that year. That same year, the 49ers beat the Seattle Seahawks 3 times that year. It's not hard to beat a team 3 times in a year, especially when they're bad. Pittsburgh had 2 first downs in the first half and 59 yards of offense, and Baltimore was up 21-0 at halftime. There was no time that anybody watching that game thought Pittsburgh was going to win that game. I'm sorry. Pittsburgh's just a better team. Baltimore's just a better team than Pittsburgh. I don't want to hear all that Pittsburgh 3 times in the season.
Man, I felt the same way about the Texans. Boy, go ahead.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah.
well, I picked the Baltimore's, and I expected this game to go pretty much the way it did, but I think we should give hats off to the Baltimore defense. I mean, the Pittsburgh offense had been effective, and I'm not saying great, effective throughout the season, but they were ineffective for large portions of it. And then you still have to give Russell Wilson credit, who had 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 121 quarterback rating. It wasn't like he was horrible. It's just that he wasn't as good as Lamar Jackson with 132 quarterback rating and 2 touchdowns.
They were down 21-0 at halftime. 59 yards total offense. What are you giving them props for? For second half getting blown out and coming back with yards?
No. If you look
that.
at the yard breakdown, he did plenty in the first half. I'm just saying, you have to acknowledge the man had a decent game. But that's not to say that, like I said, I started off by saying the Baltimore defense came and did what they needed to do.
They sure did.
They did, and the game plan was perfect because Derrick Henry bludgeoning the defense and running down that clock and shortening the game with 186 yards. Derrick Henry, they could nickname him Buddy Love because it's time to give up them yards. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they were just, it was just a thing. Like it was great to watch Derrick Henry do his thing. Lamar Jackson, I thought, and Harbaugh had an outstanding game plan, which everybody, both offense and defense, executed to perfection. They were the better team going in. We both acknowledged and said that. We both picked them. And Baltimore Ravens did what they were supposed to do. Go and collect that win.
The way Glenn thinks about Herbert is how I think about Pittsburgh. Why are people pumping them up like they're a good team? They came in on a 4-game
I don't know
losing
who the
streak.
people are who are pumping them up. I do think they're a solid team.
Good. They beat Cleveland. They beat the Giants. They beat the Jets. They beat the Raiders. Okay, yeah, good for them.
They just talk about
do you
they don't have
Pittsburgh
losing
fans
seasons
in your life or something? Because you've got an animus that's reserved.
They just talk about they have winning seasons. Yeah, they don't have a losing season.
Yeah, they go 8-8. They go 9-8.
Yeah, 9-8.
Yeah, congratulations. Don't compete in the playoffs. Yeah, congratulations. Yeah,
you know who else don't compete in them playoffs now, boy? It was them Chargers you left. Next game, Broncos.
Like congratulations, that 8th seed in the NBA every year. Nobody does that. But anyway, go ahead.
The Lakers made it to the Western Championship from the play-in. Anyways,
next game, Broncos and Bills. Man, what a weekend of football, my guys. Broncos 7, Bills 31, as we expected.
What you think about this game?
Hey, man, I heard people talking about the Broncos might upset them, and they're gonna do whoop whoop whoop.
It wasn't on this podcast.
I was saying, what on this podcast?
Ain't no damn way. What's wrong?
Wasn't on this one. Yeah.
John Gruden talking about they could be a sneaky pick for the Super Bowl. I'm like, smart as you are with football, John Gruden.
I was saying, go back to whoever those people were. John
Gruden, bro.
Yeah, and that's why nobody's hiring him as the coach. Yeah, and that's why nobody's hiring him as a coach. Exactly. It's comments like that. Go ahead, B. What you think about the game?
Look, I have long since said that Josh Allen is the one quarterback right now that can single-handedly win games for you. Guess what? That's what he does. And that's what he did. And I think this was as much another sign of that. James Cook was cooking, right? I mean, it was good to see him kind of come and take advantage of the moment. But I honestly believe that there was so much thrown at Josh Allen to try and stop him that it left open the opportunities for James Cook, and he did what he's supposed to do and take advantage of it. But yeah, Josh Allen did what he's supposed to do, beat up on young rookies. Rookies are supposed to lose their first time that they get into the playoffs.
That defense is supposed to be good.
It's a different moment. We're going to talk about literally the exception to that rule, which, in a moment. But typically, rookies don't understand the increase in the intensity, the increase in the excitement and energy when it comes to the playoffs, and they struggle a little bit in their first playoff game. Bo Nix, what was respectable. He had a 93.7 QB rating, but he's just not at that level where he can go into a game and win a game by itself. Javonte Williams had 7 carries for 29 yards. To me, that sounds more like a game plan problem, and Sean Payton needed to figure out how to generate some offense as opposed to.
You mean the Hall of Fame coach? Hall of Fame coach and Hall of Fame quarterback couldn't get it done?
One that I can tell you that I've never liked, not in New Orleans when he was over there taking out the knees of Brett Favre and costing us a Super Bowl, and damn sure not since he got to Denver, because as Jason and I have talked about, Sean Payton's for the birds for me. But anyways, I do think Bo Nix is a solid quarterback. Solid, I didn't say great or anything spectacular at this point. I do think that the Denver Broncos weren't ready. Nix wasn't ready. And that game plan was absolute garbage. And the Buffalo Bills just went in there and did what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, and their defense is supposed to be good too.
Get on to the next week.
The Broncos defense is supposed to be good. It was not. Go ahead, Coop.
Yeah, I'm still not a Bo Nix guy. Never have been.
I was going to say you should switch, Coop. I'm okay with you switching your Herbert love to Bo Nix because he has potential, and you haven't seen him do it for 5 or 6 years. The same trash play every week.
Good. I said it last week, and I'll say it again. I had no interest taking Bo Nix in Buffalo. Why? Because Bo Nix has lived all season on check down throws, and that ain't working against Buffalo in Buffalo. Now, Brian, you said he had a respectable game. I don't care about his rating. He had 59% passing for 144 yards. That ain't respectable. He sucked this game. He needed to do more if they were supposed to win on the road.
He was 13 for 22.
59%.
That is quick math lesson. That is not a 50% game. That's 20. So, and he didn't get a lot of opportunities. And I put all that on Sean Payton, because if you're only getting 79 yards with 7 carries from your Javonte Williams, who's your big quarterback, your running back.
It's just weak.
That's a weak game plan.
Yeah,
Man,
the quarterback's not good either.
The quarterback ain't good. That's
Not
why it's a
yet.
weak game plan. Look,
Like I said,
Bo
the
Nix was
energy
playing against
changes. The
Bo
energy
No, I
Nix,
was-
changes.
Bo
Hey,
Nix
I
was
was
playing
watching.
against Bo Nix was playing against zone coverage. Okay, he doesn't do well against zone coverage. The Bills play zone at a top 5 rate in the NFL, and Bo Nix just doesn't
We'll
do it.
see.
He's turnover prone. He's less efficient
Yeah.
against
We'll
zone,
see.
and that's
He
what
also
happened.
throws in the backfield. and
It's
they
one season.
get the
If
yak.
you think you've got them all figured out, that's
No,
wonderful. That's
I
great.
don't have them
I
all
don't-
figured out. I just told
I
you
do.
before when he got drafted, his
I do.
ceiling is not high. I saw him play in college. I don't see greatness coming from him in the NFL. I just don't
Yeah.
see it.
Your
Yeah,
best
if
hope.
he does, I'll be wrong.
Your
I don't
best
see
hope
it.
is Justin Herbert this year. That's your best hope for Bo Nix.
I'm not a Bo Nix guy, just like I wasn't a Trevor Lawrence guy. I'm not him.
Oh shoot! But you
He was a
but you
Brock Purdy
chose.
guy at the beginning of the season, though.
I'm
But,
still a Brock Purdy guy.
You know who beat? You know who?
I
Trevor
wasn't
Lawrence.
a Sam Darnold guy.
You know Trevor Lawrence beat in the playoffs?
Yeah, I know he beat Justin Herbert. I don't mean I started liking him.
27 up 27, and you still choose this guy. Next game, Packers Eagles 10 to 22.
Wait, this is coming from
Eagles.
Aiden O'Connell lover. Okay, we'll get to you later. I'm gonna get to your Ravens
Oh, I'm
later.
not.
Go ahead.
Hey, I didn't say nothing about it. That's fine, bro. You're not competing against me. Yeah, I
know.
never said Herbert. I mean, I used to say Herbert was good, and it's really mom. And then listening to y'all, because like he's great. I'm like, what'd he do? Well, I mean, he just kind of cool. Like one
Kinda
time he
cool.
had saved a rabbit from a fire, and then I heard that he had a turtle when he was little. Like nothing about no damn football, bro.
You know
Like,
that- you
he
know that
ain't
didn't
did
come
nothing
Like we
for you.
said before we even got on here, we're gonna have to let Glenn do whatever he
Got
wants.
to.
I know. Real talk.
After
Right.
Real talk.
Herbert did us no favors this
Right.
week.
The last
Not
few
a-
weeks,
not
bro.
an iota.
The
Not
last
an
few
iota.
weeks.
I knew it was coming.
Brian talk about he got a nice golf swing. I'm like, what?
That's
We ain't
funny.
got
A
no
nice
kind of
golf
football
swing.
involved, bro.
Never said none of
Stop
that.
it. All
Next
right,
game.
so
Next game.
Eagles beat the Packers 22-10.
Okay, I'm gonna
Josh
be real
Jacobs
quick.
Josh Jacobs was beasting. That was about it. But go ahead.
I'm gonna be real quick, Brian, on this one. This game was actually really boring. My whole highlight of this game was seeing AJ Brown reading a self-improvement book on the sideline called Inner Excellence. Train your mind for extraordinary performance and the best possible life. And this man went out and had 1 catch for 10 yards. That was pretty much the highlight of this game for me. This game was actually boring and put me to sleep. So, Brian, please recap this game for us.
Yeah, I'm not going to do much recapping either. This game was incredibly disappointing because I actually thought the Green Bay Packers had a puncher's chance of winning this game and certainly were going to be competitive, and they just weren't. I mean, it did not take long. Now, here's the reality of it is that the game got started off on the wrong foot because they fumbled the opening kickoff, and that put them in a situation because most of this game, it was a one-score game. But at no point in time, even talking to the Green Bay Packer fans that I know, did anyone think that the Packers were going to like come back and overcome because they just didn't play inspired football at any point in time. They, the defense was managed to kind of keep things easy, but the Eagles also didn't look very good. I mean, they won in spite of a ugly, not so entertaining football game. Saquon does what Saquon does, similar to Derrick Henry. But other than that, this game was not all that interesting.
And this Jalen Hurts first came back after a while, right? How long was he out?
Yeah, he was
About
out 2 weeks.
for a
Couple
concussion,
weeks.
2 or 3 weeks.
Getting out, yeah. So Jordan Love, I know Coop, you'd be saying you're not feeling him. He had pretty much the same stats as Herbert, so they both played pretty bad.
This
Most
game
of
put me
these
to
young
sleep.
quarterbacks played pretty bad this
They only
this
scored
series.
10 points. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Green Bay, so it wasn't coming that good.
All right.
But yeah, I had the Chargers lost that one, had Buffalo, had Baltimore, I had Green Bay with Brian, so yeah, 2-2. Okay.
Had the
All right.
Chargers. That was a mistake. I can't believe you. You just love hardball.
Hella
Next
funny.
game, Commanders Bucs. Commanders get first playoff win since 2006, I believe. First
2005.
rookie, 2005. Thank you. First rookie to win a playoff game since who was it? Like
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll talk about that since you brought
Sanchez
that
or
up.
something.
Yeah, I'll bring that up, man. So yeah, Jane Downs. Look, I'm still on record for stating his body type as a quarterback doesn't last 10, 12, 15 years in the NFL. But I was hoping to see some good seasons early out of him, and it looks like it's starting now. Like you said, Glenn, he's the fourth rookie quarterback in NFL history to win a road playoff game, joining Joe Flacco, Mark Sanchez, and Russell Wilson.
Bro,
But
we've
with
seen all
due
of them guys too. That's crazy. It's all in our
but with-
generation.
Right. But with all due respect to those other guys, those teams were led by defense and very little passing.
Sure.
JD had to do a lot more than that for his
All
team
year.
to win. Yeah, exactly. He made throws in pressure situations. He picked up crucial rushing yards and made that fourth down throw to Terry McLaurin. And he pretty much was the reason
Does not turn it over either.
Right. And if they didn't turn over, he looked good. And he's pretty much the reason why they won their first playoff game since 2005. But it also made me think that he was on the same college team at LSU with Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. And they only went 10-3, which is kind of surprising, knowing how talented those three guys are. But yeah, it was a good win, a statement win for Jaden Daniels. We'll talk about later how they'll do against Detroit. But man, he was the reason they won, and he did his thing.
Yeah, look, this was a fun game to watch. We were actually expecting a lot more points. If you looked at a whole bunch of prognosticators and everything else, they were talking about this is going to have all the points and everything else.
Yeah.
But both teams played well. This was a well-fought game that went down to the end by two teams that were very exciting throughout the season. This was a fun football game to watch. And Jaden Daniels proved that he is going to be, until his body gives out, I guess. But he's going to be considered amongst the elite rookies, or now quarterbacks. I mean, he won this game for this team. And he deserves everything. He was the leading rusher. He was obviously the leading passer. He had 2 touchdowns, 110 quarterback rating, and ultimately led a team as a rookie on the road to win against a team that's very powerful. And we've said all season, the Tampa Bay Bucs are one of those teams that in any given week could beat 95% of the teams in this league.
Especially at home, yeah.
Especially at home. And they found a way to go in there and do that. Congratulations to them. I'm looking forward to seeing what Jaden Daniels can do both the rest of this season, which I don't expect is to be all the way to the Super Bowl, but certainly in years to come.
Yeah, a good win.
Yeah, it definitely was. Bucs had a solid season, but that's the end of the road for them boys.
Yeah, well, that fumble by Baker Mayfield at the end did him in, but yeah.
That's it. Close game. Yep. Last game, B. Talk to us, man. Vikings 9, Rams 27.
Yep.
Absolutely no surprise here. So all during the game, people were saying, "Oh, what do you think? Blah blah blah. It's going horrible, so on and so forth."
You've been kind of waiting for the shoe to drop.
Yes. I mean, I have said all season long the same things about the Vikings. They settle too much. They're too dependent on the big play, and if they don't get those big plays, they can't hang with solid teams all the way. They've only got 4 losses on the entire season, and they are only to 2 different teams, and they are all in both instances were in back-to-back weeks. Detroit, then the Rams, and then again last week with Detroit, and then this week with the Rams again. There was no big surprise here. I told everybody both in the last week and this week that I wanted to pick my team because I am a fan and I wanted to root for them to win. But I understood completely that they have holes that need to be exposed, that are going to need to be closed up. This was a solid season, but they stunk in this football game.
Really bad.
They were not good. Darnold was not good. I don't think this is a sign of him becoming regressing or anything like that. He's been this guy dependent on the big play for most of the season. I honestly think that it's Kevin O'Connell who needed to call the game differently and recognize both the strengths of his team and the weaknesses of his team. So if you're going and you're trying to do short out passes when you're dependent on the big play and you're not calling enough stuff up the field for Justin Jefferson in order to create those big opportunities, how are you going to win? How are you going to keep up with a team that's got Puka Nacua, who is just impossible to guard? If you run man, he abuses you. You run a zone, he always finds an opening. I mean, that guy is just incredible. And he only had 5 catches in this game, but he was impacting everything that the defense had to do to try and stop him. And ultimately, Tyler Higbee had a better game. But ultimately, this game was about Puka Nacua and our inability to control him and overcompensating to try and make something happen. All that to be said, hats off to the Vikings. Nobody thought that they could be good, let alone play for the best record in football on the final week of the season. They ran into the wrong side of the bracket. I honestly believe if they had played Philly, that they would have been able to beat Philly. Just about any other team, but they ran into the wrong side of the bracket. They literally played the same 2 teams that they got their 2 losses to in the regular season in a row right here. They also have $73 million in cap space, and 90% or like 80, 85% of their core is all signed already. So that $73 million can all be spent on trying to make the team better, adding to that core. We'll see what happens, but hats off to them. Yeah, that stunk.
Man,
I'm not going to talk too much about the details of the game because there's not much to talk about. There's no highlights in that.
had the Rams defense looking like the 84 Bears or 83 Bears.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, based on what you said, I'm gonna have a question for you at the end after I talk about this game.
Okay.
So look, this game started as a pick 'em on the point spread, then it jumped to Minnesota -2.5. Finally settled at 2 at game time. I bet the Rams this game for 4 reasons. I've actually watched more Viking games this year than I have in any other season ever, and I think most of the steam on Minnesota was based on their record. But I think there were a few things that people missed. 4 things that were missed, which is why I bet on this game. Number one, I think for Minnesota to have a deep playoff run, I would think it had to be led by Brian Flores in the defense. I think that's a very hard thing to do, to have playoff success led by defense, because you're going against some of the better quarterbacks in NFL. That was the first reason I bet against them. Second reason was Minnesota is a different team on the road than they are at home. I was looking at some of the road wins. It was like a 2-point win at Green Bay. They had a 10-point loss at the Rams, a 5-point win at the Jacksonville, 3-point win at Chicago, 3-point win at Seattle, and then a 22-point loss at Detroit. So their games
Cardiac
on the road,
kids.
yeah, the games on the road are, you never know. The third reason was the second time they played Detroit, Minnesota got dominated, and they only scored 9 points. And I actually bet money on the Vikings that game because I saw what the Niners did the previous week. They scored 30 plus, so I figured Minnesota was able to do the same thing. They didn't. And then they played the Rams for the second time. They only scored 9 points this game too. And like you said, the Rams kind of dominated. They had 6 sacks on Darnold in the first half. They only scored 9 points. But the main reason, the last reason I went against the Vikings is because after watching Sam Darnold last week against the Lions, there was no way in hell I was going to put my money on him to play against the Rams. It seemed like the moment was just a little bit too big for him against Detroit. And I can't put this entire loss on him. I have to put some on McConnell, which is my question to you. McConnell saw Darnold struggling. Kevin McConnell saw him struggling, but yet he still kept calling pass plays. And I didn't understand why he wouldn't run the ball. So you being a fan, do you know
I was
why?
watching him run.
Yeah, here's the reason why is that late they got desperate. They needed to try and make points up quickly. And I here the problem is that at the beginnings of the game they get tight and they start giving up the little out patterns, but they've got to stop doing that. It is a true problem with O'Connell. I don't think they need to run the dude out of town. I just think he's a young coach earlier in his time, and he hasn't quite figured out certain things. By the way, I told a lot of people outside of this podcast that one of my biggest concerns is I have not seen O'Connell outcoach McVay, who is his mentor and where he came from. Remember, he came from the Rams.
Yeah.
We joked about this after the first game. McVay just seems to have his number and understand what plays he likes to call and how to defend against them. Yeah. And they did it admirably. I don't know. I think the next time they play the Rams, which thankfully shouldn't be that often because of the way the records worked out. The next time they play the Rams, he needs to go and take whatever his playbook is and put it there and go into Madden and pick any other quarterback's, any other coach's playbook, download that and use it for just 1 week. Because I just think McVay has his number.
Do you go ahead.
You were okay with Darnold throwing the ball 40 times though in a playoff game?
A lot of those was at the end.
In the second half when they're down, down 24-3. Yeah.
Throwing the ball.
Oh, yeah, Go ahead.
You got to. It's not. The problem is you can't let yourself get behind like that.
Yeah, that I was talking about in the first half, but yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
Do you? It seems like this is good in that you don't overpay Darnold now, though.
Real talk.
Oh no, I don't think this ruins his money at all. I think Darnold
I don't think I think he's gone from y'all for sure. Y'all ain't gonna pay him another year.
I disagree. If I am the Vikings,
I wouldn't.
And we can talk more about this another week. But if I am the Vikings,
let's do that.
And I can sign him in that $35-40 million range at that mid-tier.
That's what I'm saying. He may want more.
Ooh. That's what Daniel Jones, that's mid-tier, that's,
Yeah,
cool. I don't think he wants more. I think he really wants to stay.
Man.
And because I think Darnold recognizes that the system is a big reason why he had the year that he had. And I think he wants to stay.
Man,
so I think he'll be reasonable about his money.
So GB, do you know why I think
that
Brian?
Bread. I'd take that bread. You know, Browns want to pay me 48. I'm taking it. But go ahead.
I don't think the Browns will do that, but they already did Deshaun Watson.
He's early in his career. I think he wants to build a career.
So I think that Brian has a point in that he will stay, and I think he'll take whatever contract. And here's why. I saw JJ McCarthy on the bench. He's had a knee injury for a while. That dude looks like he's 195 pounds like me. He was pretty big coming out of Michigan. I don't think that guy's played football in a while. Throwing the football, he looked like he lost about 20 pounds of muscle. I think Darnold might be the only option that they have. So I can see that actually happening and him staying because McCarthy does not look ready.
Okay.
McCarthy does not look ready.
That's different.
Well, he's a long way from being ready because he had an injury, but that's fine. The reason for me is that I'm doing this with the Vikings is that you know what you've got. You can work with somebody who has 4 losses to 2 teams and played if O'Connell's honest with himself, he needs to understand he needed to coach and game plan better in order to put them in a situation to not make it about Darnold. As Jason said, that they really needed to ride Brian Flores and the defense a little bit more and give him opportunities. You do that by running the ball, as Jason was also saying. But here's the thing: if you're the Vikings, you accept the numerous trade offers that you're going to get for JJ McCarthy and a bad draft pick, and everyone keeps on talking about. Yeah. If there's been rumors that the Giants are even willing to offer their 1 pick for JJ McCarthy. There's rumors that Seattle wants to offer a running back plus their 1 pick plus like a 2. They're further down in the stack or whatever. You absolutely take that and keep Darnold because you don't know what you're going to get with JJ McCarthy. At least you understand what you have with Darnold, and that's not a knock on McCarthy. I do not think anything ill of him. I just think you take that opportunity, especially when you got $73 million of cap to build a team again.
I would unload McCarthy. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, let's keep rolling. Texans Chiefs Saturday 1:30 PST. What you got?
Simple. It's going to be freezing temperatures. The point spread's only 8. I'm taking Kansas City.
Yeah, you got to take Kansas City till otherwise proven.
Yeah, I don't think Houston's that great of a team.
If we're picking for the point spread, I'm actually going to take Texas. I think Kansas City wins this game, but I do think it's cold, it's slow, and the Kansas City plays down to their teams a lot of times. So I can easily see this being a 6-7 point game, not necessarily getting to 8. I don't see it as a blowout for all the reasons you just said, it's temperatures and whatnot. But yeah, Kansas City's going to win this game. I just think it's going to be. I would if I had to do a pool pick, which I guess I do have to. I would take Houston.
Yeah, I got Casey on the point spread too. I mean, they blew them out when they had Deshaun Watson, an explosive offense, and this team ain't that. So I really think they'll blow them out. But we'll see.
Those are good times.
That was years ago. KC ain't
I know. Commanders at Lions Saturday at 5 p.m. PST.
I guess I'll start this one. I'm going to take Detroit to win the game. I'm going to take the Commanders. They just got something on this point spread. They just got something going. I think the game might be closer than what people think. The lines already went down from 10 to 8.5. I'm not sure what it is right now, but Washington, man, they're playing with house money right now. They're not playing. Jaden Daniels does not play scared. That helps the team because they know this guy is not going to wilt under pressure. If a throw needs to be made or a run needs to happen, he needs to get a first down, he's going to do whatever he can to get it. He's proven that he's on his first year, but he's proven he's becoming a clutch player, a consistent clutch player. That's going to help. Detroit is a whole different beast now, but with that ravaged defense, I don't think they got anybody fast enough to keep up with him running the ball, and if receivers can get open, he can get them the ball. So I got Lions to win, but I got Washington to keep it close.
So I'm also a little bit different here. I would take the Lions and I would give up the points. I agree that Washington has shown a lot of moxie, and I actually think that this will be a great first half of football. But nobody knows how to play down the stretch and stretch things out more than the Lions. They are ruthless when they get a lead. They keep on going at you. They score until the buzzer is rang, even on the last play if necessary. And I just think that they're going to find ways to get that up. This could easily be a 10 to 13 point win. That's not to say that at any point in time when we feel like the Commanders are out of it, I expect that they'll play well, play strong. I just don't think that they're going to be able to keep up with the Lions down the stretch, who just know how to play down the stretch in football games.
Okay. Rams at Eagles Sunday at 12 p.m.
B.
Take the Eagles. The Rams are not a bad team, but there's something up with Cooper Kupp. I don't think he's fully recovered. He had one great play in the last game, and that's it. One great play. He used to be at the beginning of the season. He was part of a dual threat with Cooper Kupp. Now they're trying to use Tyler Higbee. There's something up there. You can't be a one-trick pony to take out a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, who have a whole bunch of tricks up their sleeve, especially one named Saquon Barkley. Philly -6.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Rams on this one to win this game.
We're just on opposites the whole way through.
The Rams are 9-3 with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Hopefully, a couple play a little better, but I just think the Rams they're a team nobody wants to play. I don't think Philadelphia is that good. I think something's up with Hurts. I think if it was a regular season, he wouldn't be playing right now. I think he's going to have to be on his game if they're going to beat the Rams. I'm not confident he will be, especially after what happened this last game. I'm taking the Rams in this one.
Last game, Ravens at Bills Sunday at 3:30 p.m. PST.
Oh, this is going to be the game I am definitely watching. This line started
out the best playoff game of the whole postseason.
Yeah, definitely. This line started at Buffalo -1. Now it's Baltimore -1 in Buffalo, which is actually kind of disrespectful to the Buffalo Bills. When I saw this line, it seems like the odds makers think that the Baltimore is just going to run over Buffalo like they did in the first game when Derrick Henry had 199 yards rushing against them and Lamar had 54 yards on 6 carries. They just bludgeoned them.
What did you say what the spread was?
It's Baltimore -1 in Buffalo.
Yeah.
It started Buffalo at -1. It started there.
Yeah.
Buffalo's weakness, though, is the deep passing game. And that's not Lamar's strength. This is why the Lions and the Rams had so much success against Buffalo, is the deep passing game. Look, Lamar is definitely not Tua when it comes to cold weather, but he doesn't like playing in cold weather. He doesn't really play great in cold weather. It's going to be freezing degree, about 15-mile-per-hour winds. It's going to be very, very cold out there. That doesn't mean Baltimore can't win. If Baltimore wins, I won't be surprised, but I'm taking Buffalo to win this game.
Right.
Yeah. Whoever wins this game is my pick for the AFC representative in the Super Bowl, as in not KC. But I have a hard time picking this game. I'm all season long. My two of my favorite teams that I've been talking about the most are the Bills and the Ravens. I was really hoping this would be an AFC Championship game. I'm gonna keep it consistent and go on the opposite side of you. I'm gonna take big Baltimore. I think that this game actually works out for them. I'm not saying Josh Allen's going to do his thing, but the game plan is going to be on the ground. It's going to be using Lamar Jackson and to throw the ball when necessary, to try and throw it deep on those occasions on 3rd and long. But most of this is going to be Derrick Henry. You know what hurts? Getting hit anywhere in cold, really, really cold. It grows up on you, and eventually you start shying away a little bit. And someone like Derrick Henry can take advantage of that. So I'm going to give Derrick Henry the nod there. I will tell you what, that over/under is insanity to me. 51.5.
What is it? I haven't checked it.
51.5 in that level of cold. That's a lot of points in that cold.
I think it's
especially in a game that I think is going to be on the ground.
Yeah, because I think it's mainly that high when people think about the first game when Baltimore just ran them 35-10. I mean, it wasn't even close. They were just running them. Sarah, that's probably why it's high, but I'm with you though. In a spread, total that high in the cold weather, don't know.
Yeah, I just think the game's on the ground. The clock moves faster that way.
Yeah.
This game's over quick. I think it's close, and I think Baltimore finds a way to win.
GB, you got any quick picks on just any of these 4 games?
Man, you got to go with the Chiefs until proven otherwise. Eagles Rams is a tough one to your point. I'd probably go Eagles just because of the nod for the home team. But Hurts is gonna have to play, and you're gonna have to get AJ Brown involved. Otherwise, the Rams can run you. People forget that they're not too far removed from a Super Bowl, and a lot of those players are still there, including and obviously their coach. Other game was the Commanders Lions. Lions gonna win. Commanders, show out. I just want to see Jaden play good. You know what I mean? Just keep it close, and his legend grows. So
and then Baltimore Buffalo, you got?
Ooh,
It's tough.
it's like Brian said, it's a tough one.
Mhm.
I want to see Lamar win it, so I got to go with them. But Josh
Mhm.
Allen is cooking, bro, and that Bills team looks really good.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
wouldn't be surprised if they win.
all right.
One thing about the Rams, keep an eye on Cooper Kupp. Remember you were talking about that 9-3 record when they both play together? Well, those
Yeah.
3 losses are all during the last 5 weeks.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's wrap it up, guys. We're pretty much at an hour. So hogwash, and then we'll do
You
game
want to do head
ball and
coaches or do that next
minutes.
week?
Let's do it next week.
Okay.
Do next
That's
week.
cool.
Yeah,
All
because
right. That's
there'll
cool.
still
They'll
be
be
some.
unemployed for a lot longer.
That's hella fun.
Yeah, right. We'll still be searching anyway. So hogwash, game ball, minute to win it. What's hogwash for you right now?
Hogwash is I'll tell you my hogwash, Kyle Shanahan. Okay, he's hogwash because I'm reading that Robert Saleh is the leader to be the defense coordinator in San Francisco.
If
I
not
have
the
nothing.
coach for the Jags. But go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have nothing against Robert Saleh. My whole thing and why this is Kyle Shanahan is because I think he needs to go in a different direction with the defense. He's so enamored with that Seattle defense that he only wants got that Seattle defense that was a Legion of Boom years ago. He's so enamored by that he only wants guys that knows that defense. That defense worked way back then when they had future Hall of Famers like Earl Thomas and Richard Sherman, hard-hitting KJ Wright and Cam Chancellor, Bobby Wagner patrolling the middle, and all those pass rushers galore that were in their prime. 49ers ain't got that. Okay. And since they've been running that defense, we've won 0 Super Bowls. Okay. And Seattle's only won 1 Super Bowl with that defense. So I'm calling it hogwash because I want them to go in a different direction. I'd rather them try to interview the guy who got fired in Cincinnati, who got a raw deal, defense coordinator Lou Amorano or something like that. And if he actually hires Brandon Staley to be his defense coordinator, I'm switching teams until he leaves, and then I'll go back to being a 49er fan.
That's funny.
But yeah, so that's why Kyle Shanahan is my hogwash.
The Chargers are ready for you. Go ahead, B.
Man.
Yeah, that'll be where he has to go. He's got to go to an AFC team, right? Because he can't go to another NFC team and not be able to come back.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyways, my hogwash goes out to Pittsburgh Steelers fans. You all are much of absolute dummies. If you want to sit there and hate on Mike Tomlin after everything that man has put out there for you. All this fire Tomlin stuff, like you show no class. And what's funny is it's a blue collar town, right? These are hard workers who are absolutely showing their privilege because they want to talk about how they should always be in the Super Bowl hunt. It is really, really damn hard to win Super Bowls in the NFL. One of the hardest sports to win a championship in, period, anywhere. And you all are complaining about the constant success, but not Super Bowl success that you get out of Mike Tomlin. And Mike Tomlin has handled it.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
That's what he said.
My bad.
They're not getting it. Yeah.
Oh, they're not getting
getting
okay,
super. Yeah, they're not getting Super Bowl success. But it's you be careful what you ask for, because when you trade out Mike Tomlin and you get whatever one of these other dudes,
Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah, there you go, Nathaniel Hackett, and all of a sudden you go from 10-7 to 2-15. You want to see what happens? Talk to Mike Tomlin's friend Lovie Smith. Bears haven't had a winning season since they got rid of him. They fired him after he had a 10-7 season. Now look where they've been ever since. They've not won. Be careful what you ask for.
Good bars. Damn, I had one. I just forgot. It was
the refs.
Nah, right.
That's hella funny.
NBA,
funny.
NBA basketball. Man, I think I was watching. Was I watching the Lakers? I was watching somebody, bro. Oh no, it was
Sack in Milwaukee or something.
Were you talking about Sack?
I was at that game. I was at that game, and that was fine. I didn't know any of the players, whatever. And they just got the new coach. Doug Christie just took over, so they're kind of just running street ball. Throw the ball out there and just make it happen for what you could do. All right, fine. They have won like 7 in a row or whatever up until recently. So whatever there, but just too many. Man, I've talked to my friends. I've talked to you guys. It's just like it's like Kobe said in a clip I've seen in the past. It's like accidental basketball. There's no offense run. There's no point to it. You just move it around the perimeter and shoot threes. Then the other guy comes down to shoot a three. Then the other guy comes down to shoot a three. And if neither team can shoot, one, it's already long shots anyway. If you can't shoot, that is the most boring. I watched like 2 minutes of some game that was on TV and turned it off. They got to figure it out because it's hogwash, bro. It's unwatchable.
That's why people don't watch.
It's unwatchable, bro.
Terrible.
It's
It
just
is
not
unwatchable.
It's not entertaining. Like
it really is. Yep.
Yeah, figure it out. So, game balls. Who y'all got?
Go ahead, Bray. What's your game ball?
Veteran running backs: Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry were a big part of the story for all the winning teams. For so many of the winning teams All season I've been talking about how I wanted to see them be successful. It is so fun, so great. And not only are they successful in a really serious way. I mean, Josh Jacobs lost, but he was still the only player doing his thing in that game. Joe Mixon, with over 100 yards for Houston. Saquon did his thing, and we all saw what Derrick Henry did, which is just bludgeoning their team to death. So veteran running back share that ball.
Yep.
Yeah, my game ball goes to Jaden Daniels, man. I'm fascinated by the quarterback position, man. I like watching him play and seeing what he's doing. I like watching him play and seeing what he's doing, man. And it's exciting. You know what I'm saying? It seems like when Magic Johnson's involved in the franchise, they seem to do good things, man. So looks like they got themselves a player in Jaden Daniels. So it's he definitely gets my game ball, man. He made some clutch throws and made some crucial runs in that last game to win.
Yeah, he was balling. Agreed. Same. And then minute to win it. What y'all I just thank everybody for listening. I don't have anything specific.
You had nothing specific? Nah. Okay, well, I'll say something specific. My minute to win it is on Mark Davis. I'm gonna need him to stay out of coaching hires. Okay, just stay out of it completely. Okay, ever since he's taken over the team, there's 68 wins and 111 losses, and he needs to just stay out of the business of hiring coaches. Okay, I'm sure you guys know the story. The reason why Pierce got the job is Devontae Adams and Max Crosby said, "Hey, we like this guy. This is not the NBA. You don't let players pick your coach. You go through some due diligence, okay?" And 6 months later, those same players that went to his office didn't want him around anymore, okay? Tom Brady fired Pierce, okay? Raider fans ought to be happy that Tom Brady is involved with this franchise, okay? Because Pierce will still be coaching next year and you still be inept offensively, okay? He didn't get fired because you didn't make the playoffs. He didn't get fired because you didn't go 10-7. He got fired because after 27 games, you're not trending upwards, and you don't have an offensive identity. You don't have to be good with a Pro Bowl quarterback to have an offensive identity. Nobody knows what you do on offense, and that's because of the head coach, okay? I know everybody was popping champagne bottles and drinking and glutting beer when they beat Kansas City in Christmas a couple years ago. It was like, oh, yeah, we had 48 yards passing and didn't complete a first down, second, third, and fourth quarter, but we beat the Chiefs. It ain't been good since then. So Mark Davis, he wants to win. He really does. I've heard him speak. He wants to win. And he's admitted he's not a football guy. I'm telling you, the best thing he can do is just step to the side, let Tom Brady have an Elway type of deal, get him off of TV because he sucks on TV. Tom Brady's not good at TV. He's clunky. It doesn't seem natural. It's hard
when you're not allowed to go to any of the team meetings.
But even then, just how he sounds.
It's not natural. It doesn't matter if you go team or not. He's clunky. It's not really natural for him. And plus, if you're the Raiders, you got Sean Payton, you got Harbaugh, you got Reed. Those are AR-15s. You cannot go into these games with a Nerf gun like Antonio Pierce going against these coaches. You got to get a real coach, pay some real money, let Tom Brady, who knows how a winning franchise should operate, just give him the program like the Broncos did Elway. And the Raiders, I think, will do something good. I don't think the Raiders are a bad job if Mark Davis stays out the way. So that's my minute to win it. There is hope for Raider fans.
All right, I agree with that. Go ahead, B.
Next time we all get to talk, we'll be under a new regime. Unfortunately, the worst thing about this is that man's getting sworn in on MLK Day. It's truly disappointing, but keep your eyes open. There's a lot of things that are getting buried under the rugs because of LA fires and other things that are going on. The Hegseth was going through confirmation hearings saying all types of craziness. This is going to be a 4-year fight. That fight starts Monday. I hope to see everybody on the other side. I hope that we get another election. Sometimes I wonder if we will.
Yeah. Sports Counterpoints. This is January the 14th, 2025. We'll talk to y'all next time. Peace.